Hello gamers, it's Tom Sidener, the Lonely Gamer, and it's Thursday, January 26th, 2017, and it's time for the news. So I know you guys are probably all real disappointed because you just see me here and you don't see John. Well, don't fear, John will be here in a few minutes to discuss print and play with us, but I'm going to give you a little bit of news updates before we do that, and then he will join us toot sweet. So the first thing I want to talk about in the news today is Tyrants of the Underdark, one of my favorite games for 2016, has announced an expansion. It is going to be a card deck expansion, which we kind of knew were going to be coming because the way the game's set up. It's got 40 card half decks that you can use in the game, and that definitely lends itself to lots of expansions. And so they're coming out with an expansion that has two 40 card half decks in them, and the half decks are going to be Aberrations and Undead. So the Aberrations deck is going to have 40 cards, and it's going to deal with discarding. It's going to be kind of a mill deck. It's going to cause players to discard, but it's also going to have defense cards in it that actually give you bonuses when your opponent tries to make you discard cards. So that looks pretty interesting. And then the Undead deck has some really interesting mechanics. It's going to let you play cards that are dead or soldiers that are dead. So it's going to let you actually buy cards from the Devoured deck. It may let you play cards from the Devoured deck. It also has a really unique mechanism where there are cards that will let you take troops out of your opponent's trophy haul and redeploy them onto the battlefield. So when John tries his tricks that he always does with me, where he goes around killing all my troops, if we play this deck, I can take my troops out of his trophy haul and put them back on the battlefield. I'm very excited about this expansion. I'm excited about any expansion for Tyrants of the Underdark because it's an excellent game. I really like it. So if you like Tyrants of the Underdark, check this out. It's in pre-order right now. Probably will be available in the next couple months. The next thing I want to talk about is a new game that was just released this week. It's something that you can actually buy at retail, and that's Santorini. Santorini is a really beautiful looking game. It has a 3D board. It's an abstract game, so it's nothing, too complicated. It's got really simple rules. What you're trying to do is you've got these little characters, and you're trying to get them to the third level of a building, and you're building the buildings along the way, and the first person to get to the third level of a building is a winner, or if you can force your opponent to where they cannot move, you also win. But there's also mechanisms to actually cap off buildings so that you can't get to the third level or can't get to the next level. And then along with that, along with the basic abstract game, there are also these god cards that you play with, which change the game every time you play, give new rules, give different winning conditions and stuff like that. So it's a really cool game. It's a really beautiful game. I'm not a big player of abstract games. I'll play them sometimes like between games, but this one actually looks really nice, and the actual design of the game is absolutely beautiful. It makes me want to play it just because it looks so pretty. So if you're into abstract games or you like games like that, definitely check out Santorini. It is for sale right now. 2 to 4 players, but it looks like it might play better with 2 players, but it is a 2 to 4 player game, and it is available at retail right now. Another thing I want to talk about that's at retail right now is Spyfall 2. If you're a fan of the original Spyfall, there is a Spyfall 2 out. I'm pretty sure that Spyfall 2 is just more of the same from Spyfall 1. It just gives you, I think it gives you 20 new locations that you can play the game, and that's really what it's all about. If you play the original game, if you play it too many times, you start to get to know the location, the kind of newness wears off. But if you're a Spyfall fan and you want some more locations, Spyfall 2 is now available for purchase. You can purchase that right now. Okay, one other thing I want to talk about is I want to do a quick Kickstarter talk about a game that's on Kickstarter right now. It's called Defense Grid, and it is a tower defense game. And it's a tower defense game in the sense of a tower defense game from a computer game. So there are a lot of tower defense games out there where you stand on a tower and you try to defend that tower. But in board game terms, that is what tower defense has become. But in computer terms, tower defense is more that you have something that you're defending. You have minions that are walking towards that thing that you're trying to defend, and you're building up towers along the way to try to take those minions out before they get to what you're defending. And this board game actually brings that to life in a board game setting. So this, you have something you're defending, you have all these different towers that you're building up, and then you've got minions that are coming through and you're trying to wipe them out before they get to what you're defending. It's a deck building game, so you've got cards that you're using to play. You have to have certain cards to activate certain towers. So you're trying to manage your hand, you're trying to manage your towers. It is a cooperative game, so other people can build a tower and then you can activate it to try to take the minions out, and so on and so forth. So it's really a tower defense game in the true sense of computerized tower defense game. So if that's something that interests you, you should definitely check out Defense Grid. It is on Kickstarter right now. It has 15 days to go as of this taping. It does have a pretty hefty price point for backing. It's $80 for the lowest backing point. But it does have some miniatures, and any games that have miniatures seem to have a higher price point for backing. So it does have tower miniatures and stuff like that. It's a tower defense game, deck building game, resource management game, all mixed into one. It looks pretty cool. Definitely, if that sounds like something that would interest you, please go check that out on Kickstarter. It is fully funded, so if you decide to do it, you will be getting the game, and it's got 15 days to go. So check that out. The last thing I want to mention in this portion of the news before John joins me is I want to mention that don't forget that this Sunday, January 29th, is when Gen Con tickets go on sale. Gen Con tickets are on sale from January 29th until way into June. There's really no hurry to get them. They're not going to sell out. But if you're trying to get into the portal for a hotel room or someplace to stay on campus there at the convention, definitely get your tickets early, because you have to have your tickets before the portal opens if you want to be able to get into the portal. So that's it. Let's go find John and let's talk about print and play. Okay, so today we're going to talk a little bit about print and play. So print and play is one thing that me and John have discussed a lot, and we have some opinions, and we've got some opinions that we've heard other people say about print and play, and we sometimes agree with them and sometimes we don't, so we thought we would discuss this. And so first of all, let's just tell them a little bit about what print and play is. So you want to go ahead and give the audience an idea of what print and play is?
Sure. So print and play is the idea where you provide electronic versions of a game that you can then print out, sometimes at home, sometimes at a print shop, and you can basically make your own version of the game from those documents. It doesn't intend to be of any sort of comparable quality to what you buy in a store, and really it's more just letting you produce the components such that you can play the game with those homemade components.
Now, print and play has been pretty popular with card type games because it's very easy to print cards. Fold out boards are a little harder to print, and also small, like figures and stuff have been almost impossible to print. But with the invention of the 3D printer, now even small plastic parts are becoming something that can be print and play. One of the games that I play and that I backed on Kickstarter was Zaya, and the guy who designed Zaya actually allowed people, they actually released the printer file for the 3D printer for the ships. So you could actually just print out the ships. In fact, I at work printed out one of the ships for the game. It was pretty cool to have a ship for the game that I printed. So
it was cool too because you blew it up. It wasn't the small version. It was a big one. Yeah,
I made a big copy of the little tiny ships that he has. So it's pretty cool. So as technology advances, there's more opportunity to make these print and play something that's actually a workable game.
Right.
So this leads to one of the issues that people bring up when it comes to print and play, and the thing they say is, why would anybody buy a game if they could just print it and play it for free? And that's one of the things we want to discuss today on this show. So what do we think, John? Why would somebody buy a game if they could just print it and play it for free?
Well, I'm like one of the cheapest people around. When I was in high school, like I always loved to sort of cheap out on hobby stuff. A few times I photocopied RPG books. So instead of paying $30 for the RPG book, I borrowed a copy from a friend and went and just photocopied each page. And to me, I put it in a binder, and it was just as good as the RPG book that you bought at the store. Board games, the components are a really integral part of the hobby for board gamers. And people who love board games love good quality components, and they love kind of a well put together game. Even myself, I don't want to be playing with little pieces of paper and cardboard and something that's been homemade. To me, that just is a far, far, far inferior gaming experience. And so to me, a print and play versus the actual game, I'd never play a print and play just to save money. The only time I'd consider a print and play really is if I really wanted to play the game and I just couldn't get it yet, if it wasn't released and if they released the print and play ahead of time.
Yeah, there's a game that I actually kickstarted, and one of the games that I'm very, very, very excited about. It's Mythic Battles Pantheon, and the game designer, Monolith, they actually released, after the Kickstarter was over, a print and play version of the game. And I would really like to play it. I would love to play it before it gets released. I kickstarted the game. I'm getting a copy. I've purchased it already, but I'd like to play it. The actual gameplay seems really fun, so this is one game that I may go out and print and play before I actually get the game. But if it was in retail right now and I could get it today, I would not bother to go out and print and play, because it's going to be a hassle. I'm going to have to try to print the board. I'm going to have to try to print some pages for the board and tape them together. Yeah. I'm going to have to print some cardboard stand-ups. I'm going to have to print some cards and stuff like that. And the thing is, I have a color printer, and it's not actually that cheap to print this stuff. So there's a cost involved in that too. So the idea that it's free to actually print and play is not completely true. You can, it does have a little bit of a cost associated, but this is a game that if in retail, I would just go out and buy it. I wouldn't waste my time print and playing, and I would buy it. But I might print and play this game prior to getting the game, since it's going to be probably a year, maybe a year and a half before the game actually gets to retail.
Well, one of our friends was interested in a game that's out of print, and it looks like it's never going to be coming back in print again. And he basically got all the components, designed things, and did a prototype. So it's kind of as high a quality print and play as you could possibly make, and it cost him far more than the game cost retail. So it's not that hard actually to spend more on print and play if you're doing things like color components and higher quality components to actually buy the game in retail.
Yeah, one of the things that some people will do for their print and plays is they'll use services like the Game Crafter or Printer Studio or some other service that actually does high quality prints to actually print cards and boards and stuff like that. Now, you have to be really careful. I know that Game Crafter, because I've done some prototyping on Game Crafter, I know Game Crafter requires you to sign a thing saying that your game is your work and that you're not infringing on anybody's copyright and blah blah blah. And I think they will, if they knowingly know that you're infringing and they notice it, they will refuse to print your stuff if you're breaking the law. Now, Game Crafter is an American company, and so they are pretty good about keeping to the copyright rules. Some other companies like Printer Studio, which is a Chinese company, they're not as fervent on making you stick to copyright rules. In fact, I don't know that they even ask you to sign a thing. So there are ways to do it, but like John said, some of those printing places, because you're doing a small run of these things, can be pretty expensive to print things through, and so you might as well just buy the game. If you're going to spend $30 to print and play a $25 game, then that's kind of ridiculous, and you're actually circumventing the designers and the artists and the publishers and everybody who put a lot of work and a lot of design into that game to actually make it, right?
Right. The thing is, I understand for somebody who there's no other way to get that other than buying like a $200 out of print on eBay. I guess I kind of understand why they make that decision. But at that point, really, the publisher or the designer's not losing out on anything if they're not making it available for sale.
So a lot of times in this cast, we actually compare board gaming to video gaming because they're both nerdy endeavors, right? Board game nerds, video game nerds, and one of the things is we compare board game print and play to like video games. A lot of people pirate video games,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
Video games are kind of a digital, item. If you copy a video game in some way, somehow manage to copy it, the end result is exactly like the beginning result, right? So if you manage to make a copy of a video game, you've got something that is in no way inferior to the original product.
Right.
In board games, it's a little different because your print and play version is probably not going to be superior or even equal to the version that you can buy at retail, right? Most print and plays don't have box art. Most print and plays don't have the plastic figures. Now with 3D printing, you would get a plastic figure, but I can tell you from the experience that I've had with 3D printing that 3D printing does not compare to a resin figure. So you're not going to get Games Workshop quality out of a 3D printer.
It's also expensive enough, my understanding is. Like, it's not like you have to buy the material, the molding material, and that can be pretty pricey, I think, for the 3D printer.
Just kind of like buying toner for a regular printer. You're buying a plastic filament is what it is that is kind of the ink of the 3D printer. And so the 3D printer melts that filament and makes the item. But the way it makes the item, there's a lot of striations in it. You lose a lot of fine detail in the finished product. So you're not going to get the quality of the items when you print and play. And so that, I think that's one of the factors that leads this industry to go ahead and allow print and play of their items, because they know that if you like this game and you like these subpar components, that you're more than likely going to buy the original game and get the high quality components if you like it.
I've never, in all the board gamers I've ever been around, I've never seen somebody with like a print and play homemade version of a game that's commercially available. Like, never. I've never seen anybody with a game like that saying, hey, let's play this kind of cobbled together homemade version of the game.
I would venture to say that most board gamers, and you guys out there who are board gamers can comment and say whether we're wrong or not, but I would venture to say that most board gamers would pay extra to have a older version of an out-of-print game than print and play a game.
Absolutely.
Right? They would rather have the actual game, the actual original game, and pay a premium to get that original game than actually go to the trouble of printing and playing a game.
I've even seen board gamers who would pay extra for higher quality components. So when they have the cardboard stands instead of resin figures, I've known people who lose their minds over that, and they're basically ready to pay whatever it costs to get resin figures instead of the cardboard stand-ups. The cardboard stand-ups drive them nuts.
That's something that me and John have talked about to an extent, because I've always said that if somebody really wanted to start a company and make big money, is go out there and make figures for some of these really fun games. Like one of the ones that always pops in my mind is Dead of Winter. Dead of Winter is a good game, but I do not like cardboard stand-ups. And so if somebody made a thing that said, hey, these are survivors, and then they just happen to coincide with the actual cardboard figures that were in Dead of Winter, I would actually buy that. I was like, oh, that would be cool. And then I can replace all these cardboard stand-ups with these plastic figures. So I think that these components in the game actually help to sell the game. I can definitely tell you on Kickstarter, it's the games that have the miniatures are the ones that go for millions of dollars, right? Other than Exploding Kittens, which I can't explain that at all. I'm not an Exploding Kittens fan, but the thing is, I'm not a fan of the comic or the cartoon, and so I don't really get it.
That's the answer right there. He's not selling. It's a board game, but he's not selling it to board gamers.
Right.
He's selling it to fans of his comic.
Right. Exactly. And for that, I understand it. But other than that game, the big money games on Kickstarter are the Cool Mini or Nots, or the Monoliths, or the ones that have just tons of huge, beautiful figures
Right.
that come with the game. So,
the big one that just set the record recently, was it Monster Death or something?
oh yes, Kingdom Death Monster.
Kingdom Death Monster, that has gorgeous miniatures. Like, they're big and they're detailed, and I think you're right that if he had tried to do cardboard stand-ups, there would have been far less interest in that Kickstarter.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, the thing is, print and play is never going to fulfill that. Even with the 3D printers, you're not going to get the quality of things, and I think that print and play is never going to meet that niche, and is never going to take away revenue from designers. Now, print and play for small designers like me, print and play is an excellent thing, because John and I have discussed this a lot, and when it comes to board games, it's kind of a snowball effect, right? You are never going to sell a copy of your game if nobody knows anything about your game, right? So if nobody knows what your game is, and they don't know how to play it, they don't know how fun it is, then they're never going to buy it, right?
Right.
So print and play is an avenue where you can let people play your game for free.
Absolutely.
And if you can get people to do that, then they're going to play it. And if they really love it, they're going to tell their friends about it.
Right.
And then their friends are either going to print and play it, or they're going to go out and buy it. And then as this kind of snowball effect starts going, and as people get to know your game, then people are going to stop caring about the print and play, and they're just going to start buying it, right?
Absolutely. What I think, and I have no idea if this would work, but if I knew somebody who they had this game, they kind of really wanted to try to get it out there, how I'd suggest they try snowballing is give it away to anybody who will take it, make it freely available, let them redistribute it as a print and play, and then try to get feedback from people who do it in print and play. Mock up a prototype version of it on something like Game Crafter, and let people start purchasing a copy of the game, and make it clear in the print and play how they can do that. And then once there's sufficient interest in people buying the prototype versions of it, then do a Kickstarter and use the money to hire a designer to make it look really nice and professional, and then get it printed in China and shipped out to people. And I think the crazy thing about it is people would say, well, if I did it that way, people are just going to get the print and play version and they're never going to buy the other versions of it. I don't buy that. If somebody liked the print and play version, they're going to buy the prototype version, and if they like the prototype version, they're going to back the Kickstarter, and they're going to want the higher quality final version.
Yeah, definitely. And John brings up a great point. Your print and play version doesn't have to look exactly like your finished product. So I know that originally Weird actually did a print and play for some of their when they changed Malifaux over to 2.0, they did a print and play for their cards that go with the figures, right?
Right.
But on the cards, they had the stats, but they didn't have the artwork. Right? And so they did a print and play. You could print out the cards, and then if you wanted the artwork, then they sold these card decks that had the actual artwork on the cards, and you can buy them. And I'm sure they sold tons of the cards.
Well, and even that's nice, because if they're going to a version 2, all the people who are stuck with the version 1 are going to feel kind of cheated if they have to, if their only way to upgrade is to pay for it. And I think you're right, offering the print and play, it's a way that people can keep using their version 1 materials, and they're probably going to still upgrade to the version 2.
Right. So I print and played a bunch of the cards when they first did it, and then once those card packs come out, and they weren't expensive, I think you got like 40 cards for $7. I bought all the packs and replaced all of my cards with all my figure cards with the new cards. And so, and now what's really funny is I've noticed, John, is that they no longer, Weird no longer sells those packs anymore. They actually have a company called Drive-Thru Review, I think, and they actually now do a print and play type thing through them, where if you want the card pack, instead of actually buying the card pack, you go to them, you say you want the card pack, they actually print it and send it to you.
Interesting.
So that's kind of an interesting thing too. So they've actually kind of come full circle. Weird has come full circle with the print and play, where they offered the print and play where you could print it. They offered the actual retail cards, and now they're offering a print and play that actually goes to a company that actually prints them. So
I read about, and I think it's Drive-Thru, that they are doing the old World of Darkness role-playing games. So vampire, werewolf, mage, all of those. And exactly what you're describing. You can either buy it as a PDF, or you can buy it like a cheap paperback bound version, or you can buy increasingly nicer hardbacked and whatnot. And so if you really, really, really love the games and you want them kind of printed to a super high quality, you can pay them and get exactly that, which is a neat take on it. Instead of you go to the game store and this is the one and only copy of the game that you can buy, you can kind of decide how much you want to spend and how nice of a copy you want.
Yeah, I've actually purchased stuff from Drive-Thru Review, and I'll put a link to them in the show notes so you guys can check them out. But the one thing I wish Drive-Thru Review would do, and this kind of goes along with print and play, is I love a physical copy of the book. Now, our friend Richard, he completely disagrees with me. He says that he will never buy a physical copy of a RPG book ever again.
Oh, wow.
And I'm the opposite. I want the physical copy because I like having them on the table and flip through them and everything.
I'm with Richard, 100%.
Yeah, so, but I'm old school. But what I wish they would do at Drive-Thru Review is I wish they would offer a combo pack.
Right.
I wish they, like, you could buy the physical book, but then when you buy the physical book, you also get a PDF copy of the book as well, because I would like to be able to look things up and print out little, cheat sheets and stuff off of the PDF copy, but I want to have the physical book. I mean, I lay in bed at night and I read RPG books. That's how weird I am. So, I mean, I like to flip through them. I don't like reading on a tablet, even though I should, because I'm half blind. And so it would be much easier for me to read on a tablet, but I just put on these glasses that look like I'm a jeweler, and and I'm reading the book. I've got it magnified like 50 times. But anyway, I still like the physical book. I don't know what it is. It's a comfort to me. I mean, it's kind of like a blanket or something. It's a comfort to have that physical book. Sure. So I really wish they would go, places like that would go with a combo thing where they would ship you the book, but you also, because I know one thing that Amazon has done, and I know that I complain about Amazon a lot in some of my videos, but one good thing that they've done is I'm a vinyl collector, vinyl records, and whenever you buy a vinyl record from Amazon, they include a digital copy with that purchase. And so that is excellent. Nice. So I can listen to my vinyl record, which I love to listen to, but I can also make a CD to put in my car, or a digital copy to put in my USB drive to put in my car. So I kind of wish that the booksellers would kind of go that direction. Even the people who produce it, like Weird, could do that. They could have a thing in the back of their physical book that's a coupon to go online and get a PDF, because that would just make it so nice. And what are they losing? They sold a book, right? Right. So I think that I kind of hope that print and play kind of goes in that direction where you can do that. Another thing that kind of goes along with print and play that has happened in the last few years, which is a really, really good thing, is that a lot of your companies are actually putting their manuals for their games out there for you to not really print and play. I usually don't print them, but I download them to my tablet.
Absolutely. And that's great if your game group knows you're going to play a game. If one person's bought the game and you're going to play it, you can all download the PDF and read the rules and prepare for the game at home before you meet up.
In fact, me and John were just talking about this morning. One of the things that we talked about doing at Gen Con this year is going into the library and playing Twilight Struggle, because it's a game we both want to play, but we don't know if we like it enough to want to buy it, but we know it's a highly rated game, so we'd like to try it. And so one of the things that we said is what we'll do is we'll both go and download the PDF rules, we'll read through it so that we don't have to waste our time that we're paying for at Gen Con to play this game to actually learn the rules and get the rules. And so that's another thing that kind of goes along with print and play, is being able to print these manuals. In fact, I order games online a lot of times, and I will tell you that before the game even gets here, I know how to play the game.
Right, absolutely.
I get online, I download the PDF of the rule book, and I read the rule book before I even have the game. So,
and I can't imagine any board gamer who would ever not buy a game because they can get a PDF of the rules. You need the physical components, so I think it just helps sales.
I will say, to go against you a little bit on this, I will say that there have been games that I've downloaded the rules, and after reading the rules, I said, I don't think I'm going to like this game, and I didn't buy it.
I think that's fair, but it's not that you bought the rules and then somehow we're like, I can have as much fun with this electronic version of the rules as the actual game.
Exactly, that is correct. But I have downloaded rules and read them. But that's no different than going and watching a video on how to play it. Or I've watched videos on games before and said that does not look like a game to me. For me. So, and one of the things for me is like one versus many. My game group that I play with predominantly does not like one versus many games. Nobody wants to play the one, right?
Right.
So a lot of times if I find out a game is one versus many, then I'm just like, well, probably not gonna. That's not gonna one that's gonna make it to the table. And I don't want to buy games. I mean, games are expensive, and I don't want to buy games that are not gonna get played. Right?
Absolutely.
So there is that risk, I guess, but that is such a small risk. And let me tell you something. If somebody is not going to like your game for something that's actually, inherent to the game, they're gonna figure that out probably other ways than reading your manual, right?
Well, absolutely. And if you're the designer, if you're the publisher, do you want people to buy a game from you that they're not going to like?
Right.
Right? And so you sell it to them, and then they're just telling their friends what a crappy game it is.
Yeah. What's that old saying that
A happy customer tells one friend, an unhappy customer tells 10 or something.
That's right. That's right. So if you have a game that somebody inherently is not going to like, you probably don't want them buying it anyway, because then they're going to badmouth it to other people who might like it.
Right.
People aren't going to say that I didn't like this because I'm not a fan of one versus many games.
Right.
They're going to be like, I didn't like that game. It's terrible.
2 stars. Yeah.
2 stars. So the thing is, you probably don't want people buying your game if it's not something that they're going to enjoy anyway. You want people who enjoy your game to buy it and then tell other people this is an enjoyable game. I really liked it. Right.
Absolutely.
So. All right. Well, I think we covered a lot on print and play today, and this was very enjoyable. You have anything else you want to add before we?
I think we covered it, yeah.
Okay, well, you guys, I hope you guys are playing a lot of games. I hope you're printing and playing games. I hope you're playing retail games, and I hope you're spending a lot of money on games so that the designers and the producers and the artists and everything will keep making great games. And until we see you again, happy gaming.